Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Couch. Last one of the year, 2021. Dr. Shiloh here with Dr. Scott. Hello, Dr. Scott. Why are you mouthing it?
Oh, I don't know. I just did that. I don't know.
You're allowed to speak, sir.
I don't know. Thank you. Thank you for that, allowing me to speak.
You're welcome. How are you?
I'm good. We were both, as before you started push the broadcast button, we were talking about our range of successful naps. Mine was not as successful as yours was, but that's okay.
Yeah. I spent last night in Palm Springs because my cousins from Washington came down for one of their birthdays. Well, my cousin's daughter's birthday. And so we decided to go hang out with them last night. And just one night is never enough out there, but it was beautiful. It was cold. It's winter, so you have the place to yourself. It was so empty, which was very cool.
Yeah.
Unusual. But headed home today and had my daughter with me. So listened to a lot of Olivia Rodrigo on the way home, and I was ready to take a nap. She's like this generation's Alanis Morissette, like really pissed off about a man having a relationship after they break up. Anyway.
The clips from the Alanis Morissette Broadway musical have looked really great. Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Did that start right around COVID and then didn't really get started?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. And now, unfortunately, shows are closing because I mean, Broadway has been kind of amazing because they've been super, super careful. Our friend Sharon Sachs, who's touring with Wicked and getting ready to go to Broadway, they have all these protocols in place, but Hamilton got shut down.
Yeah.
And a couple of others because the new variant is so, I was just reading the stats on it today that Omicron is 70% more transmissible.
Right.
And because it explodes, its replication rate in your system is just light years beyond the other. The great thing is it's tends to be a little bit milder. Right. And if you're vaccinated, you're going to be fine. But
right.
Geez.
Yeah, I was just reading an article.
We get a break.
Don't be surprised if you get it this holiday season. That little tickle in your throat might be that.
Let's not go excavating any, tombs in the Middle East or anything and unleashing curses this year.
Please. Well, so we do not have the guys from Tennis podcast joining us today, but we will do something with them in the new year. We always enjoy doing something with those guys, but we thought we would do just a nice yearly sort of wrap up and recap and talk about our favorite episodes, talk about our favorite things we did this year. You guys, please, if you want to add to the conversation, jump on and let us know what you enjoyed, what you want more of. And maybe we'll, if we have time, we can talk about true crime cases in 2021 and just what kind of maybe hit home with us. I mean, there's not a favorite true crime case, but we can just sort of do a little recap there as well. But we have a lot new Patreon members since the last time we did a shout out. Scott, do you have that up? Do you want to?
I do. I would love to announce them, and I'm going to read just the first names out of respect for privacy for our new Patreon. Again, I say it every time. You guys blow me away that you donate money to us.
Yep.
Wonderful. And thank you. It pays for decent microphones and sound sweetening by our wonderful engineer. So thank you guys so much. We welcome Hal, Pigeon Dreadful, who I don't know who you are, Pigeon Dreadful, but I love that name because it's messed up and I love it. And I'm a big fan of Penny Dreadful. So Lisa C, Donnelly M, Elizabeth A, Jacqueline D, Amay J, and Kelsey M. Thank you so much for joining the family.
Yeah,
we just really appreciate
so much. Yeah, Amy, that's on there. She joined us for our holiday party
from New Zealand.
The way from New Zealand. She's adorable. She had light up antlers,
along with somebody else from New Zealand.
Yeah, Bridget. Yeah,
it was amazing.
Bridget and Emily were our big winners with our game that we ended up playing 2 Truths and a Lie, and they killed it. So we have gifts on our way to them. And we missed you too, Abby. I wish you could have been there. I'm sure you're working hard or something, girl. So at our holiday party, we also caught up on monthly merch giveaways. So Vivian and Sarah W., I messaged you through Patreon. You guys won prizes. So please message me back so I can ship one out to you. I just need you guys to pick something. But why don't we go ahead and do our last one of the year? Let me get my wheel up so we can spin it. And I'm just going to do, since it's the last one of the year, you get to pick a merch item of your choice. So here we go. Spinning this wheel with a bunch of names on it. And, oh, okay. So I screwed up your name when you joined Patreon, and I'm sorry I can't remember exactly the pronunciation. Oh, gosh, this is so hard. And is she here tonight? Hang on. Yes, she is. AOIFE. Please, forgive me, because I know I tried last time my hardest, and then you ended up writing it out phonetically, and I was like, that is nothing like what I said. So I don't even want to attempt, because it's going to be wrong. Totally going to be wrong. So please, I'll get in contact with you. We're going to get you a merch item. I also want to let all our Patreon members know that Christmas cards went out to you guys this week, even our international folks, because last year I did not send them out internationally, and we did send them out this year. So Lord knows when they'll get there with the way the post service is going these days. But I know that our merch winner right now, believe you are one Patreon member in Ireland, because I just sent out the Christmas card. Yes. All right.
So that was also another big thing about the cards. Thank you so much for doing that, Dr. Shiloh, is that we had a big photo shoot. We had a big professional photo shoot this year, looking very respectable. I was very excited.
Very much so. Yeah. So that's fun that we got to put a nice picture on there. I have last year's card here. Hang on. I'm not going to show this year's because I want it to be a surprise, but we just had our logo on ours last year. So you guys will get a cool, more personalized card from us this year. Love Christmas cards. I love picture ones. I love regular ones. They're the best. Well, okay. So let's get into it. Should we do favorite episodes of the year?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Why don't you start?
I will start. So I reviewed back, and again, like we did a lot this year. This was a pretty packed year.
Yeah, it was.
The last half of last year. My favorite overall, for a couple of reasons, was our Free Britney episode. And because I'll tell you why. It's because there are areas that we are generalists in, and then there are areas, certainly in the area of forensics, that you and I have particular real expertise in those areas. And then this was one where I really feel like I kind of have mastery in it, because it's something I deal with on a daily basis to understand this process. And I felt like I was doing something important in imparting what the conservatorship process is actually like, despite what is being said on the media. And the feedback that we got from it was amazing. In fact, from one of the professors of one of the schools that uses our listening to our podcast as additional credit, we got tons of feedback from them saying that was a really appreciated episode. So Free Britney. Then for one that was just a bugfuck crazy historical, the Wineville chicken coop murders.
Yes. I love that one too.
The more I got into it, the more sick and twisted that story is, and sad and frustrating, and just horrible.
Yeah, I agree. I think both of those we got such great feedback on, and two totally different things. I mean, you talk about like the spread and variety of the things that we covered this year.
Right.
And that's the fun of this show so much.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many options, so many different directions we can go. And then one that I was not really expecting to have quite a connection to, despite the fact that my day job, we do work with veteran referrals, was
Mm,
stolen valor.
mm,
And again, because of our wonderful colleague and Patreon member, Adrian,
yep.
who is a vet himself and a nurse moving towards becoming a psychiatric nurse.
Hmm.
uh, like, we did the research, and we were more educated that stolen valor happens within military. I was making this whole assumption that it was going to be people of military making things up. And what we found out very quickly is that stolen valor, and the majority of them, happen with people exaggerating what their
Right.
history is. And then we also had a wonderful get vocal with a great veteran who three
Two,
great
yeah.
veterans, because yeah, who came on and
Purple
shared their
Heart
stories.
recipients. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
So those were my
incredible.
three. I mean, the fact that we got to do that was a great honor. I thought that was wonderful.
Yes, yes. So I also had Free Britney on my list
Cool.
because I felt like I got to sit back and learn, and yes, absolutely hear from an expert, somebody who does this day in and day out, and it's like you talked about it with such ease. And then everybody wanted to have you on their show to talk about it too. So that's always nice, but I think it was so timely, and it's a situation that is so confusing for people because you hear it from the outside and you're like, how is this happening? And I feel like you really brought clarity to the reality of what it's like here in California, um, from a way, a stance where people could understand it. And really, when we were looking at it, we weren't coming from a, yeah, completely free Britney like camp. We were saying, look, you guys need to realize she might be dealing with something that none of us know about. And you know what? It needs to be private. It's to be worked out in a court when the system is going right. So, still didn't mean there
Right.
weren't any complications with it or
No,
issues
very
there.
complicated. Very
Yeah.
complicated.
So I just thought that one, it was timely. Two, it was so nice to have you with your finger on the pulse of what's going on. And then how interesting that she's now free, right? So I like that one a
Yeah.
lot. Another one that I don't think was a huge like crowd pleaser, but it felt different for me to kind of dive into history was the two-parter we did on the history of sex work. It just like it didn't feel like the exact formula that we do, and I can't quite remember. I think I had just got the idea from reading a book or something and just ran with it. And thank you for letting me do that because it just was super interesting to me. And there was so much information. And I feel like we dipped our toe in a lot of different societal issues this year. And maybe, not even necessarily with what's going on in the world right now, but even these vintage cases where we got to kind of go back in time and look at societal issues. And that's what we did here with the whole history of sex work. So I thought that was just a deviation for us that was personally very interesting. Um, and then I also, one of my top ones was the Austin axe murders. And when we talked about serial linkage, crime linkage. And I thought that was fun because we kind of took the audience on a little journey with us where we put out the information about these possible serial crimes and then talked about crime linkage and then sort of in real time did our speculating on whether or not this was the act of one person. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So I do have Shannon jumping on. No, I did not plan that. Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Good. I wanted to weigh in on one of my favorites. Boy, my light is really
Please.
yellow, isn't it?
I mean,
Um,
I'm digging it. Kind of like it.
I thought the gang stalking one was, I had no idea that was even existed. Like, it was really informative and really sad. that people exist that way.
Yeah.
Great way to put it.
That's
Completely.
a really, really great way to put that. Interestingly enough, Shiloh had also looked at what our most popular episodes were from the year, and that's one of them.
That was the
And
number one from the year. So
yeah,
and it's funny because we had, you know, obviously people were probably intrigued, like, what the hell is this sort of thing?
right.
Yeah.
And then when you listen to it, you're like, what? But with just the social media that I hashtagged gang stalking, you guys would not believe the people that came out of the woodworks to tell us how full of shit we were and how it's real and how deep they were, you know,
Yeah.
in their whatever they're going through right now. With
I
being
mean,
a part of that.
and so, and to the point where Shiloh and I had to have a discussion about removing that hashtag, removing in social media and promotion, removing the gang stalking hashtag because of the ferocity with which came at us. I mean, most of it was verbal. One person went so far as to, and this is an interesting, ironic thing. Here's this person who feels that they are at the effect of being treated poorly, maligned by an entity out there, and then they did the same thing to us. They doxed me, went on and published my full name, my employment, all sorts of stuff. Which, I mean, you know, we are pretty coy about it. Shiloh and I went into this, we knew we would, like, look, for professional reasons, we want to make a clear demarcation between what we do here in our podcast versus, so that we don't pollute our work or cause anything legally. You know, it's not about just protecting us, it's about protecting the people that we care for at work and the parameters of our work responsibilities. So it was just an interesting little twist there that, like, here you are, you know, demanding, you know, upset that we're not objectively believing your gang stalking experience, but you're willing to do to us what you say is being done to you. So,
or here we are just objectively giving research about a phenomenon. Really. I mean, not that we don't put our own, you know, personal piece in there too, but hey, it was our number one episode and people found it interesting. So worth it in the end. Yeah, of course. I believe so. Thank you. Thanks.
I actually listened to a podcast. I forget what podcast it was. I should have done my homework, but they talked about a guy who, you know, he was pretty interesting. I think, oh man, I wish I remembered all the details, but he ended up thinking that he was being gang stalked, and, you know, he was close to his family, especially his older brother, and he ended up killing himself because he felt he wasn't being believed, and he felt like it was really happening. It was just so sad, and his family didn't know. And he ended
tragic.
up he ended up having a YouTube channel where he would kind of rant the fact that he was being gang stalked, and, you know, but he never shared it with his family. So I know a lot of people say, oh, couldn't the family have seen this going on, and how, but people can be so secretive, and, you know, it's, you never know what somebody is going to do. But his brother was on the podcast saying, you know, it was just devastating for them when they found out what was going on. So
not even knowing how to help.
Well, I don't, and I don't, I mean, I guess the options you have available to you to help are limited, because you think about one of the things that happens that we discovered in the research is when you go on, if you have this experience and you go and seek out people that understand you, one of the first things that come up are sort of the 3 Fight Club rules. Is tell anyone what you're experiencing, don't tell your family, don't go to a psychiatrist, don't trust a therapist. You know, they had 3 sort of major rules. So they're already setting up. Imagine this. I mean, the thing that just popped up for me is, like, if anybody here has ever been the victim of gaslighting, on a minor level, major level, like where somebody is really fucking with you, to be malevolent or they're playing a joke on you. But imagine that your own brain chemistry is gaslighting you and nothing really works except antipsychotic medication, but you don't think you're psychotic. You don't have any insight into the condition. I can understand how someone would get to the point of considering ending their life. I mean, it just must be overwhelming. It must be incredibly overwhelming.
Absolutely. That and that's why you hit the nail on the head, Shannon, when you said it's just so sad. And I think I feel like that's the stance that we took on it.
Yeah, I thought so.
But
I thought it was very sympathetic. Like, you weren't saying these people are crazy. I know you would never say that about anybody, but
not on a microphone.
Yeah. Brought a lot of compassion and showed like, that the emotions that these people are real. Like if someone were truly gang stalking you, it would bad. I mean,
yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, I will say it every time I get the chance is the clown about how they're afraid of, like I have that was what sold on your from the Getting Off podcast. That's how I heard about you guys.
Okay.
I'll tell a really, really fast story about my clown experience. I went to one of those Halloween, at Six Flags, where they have the scary people who jump out at you and whatever.
Yep.
Well, we had walked, there was a clown and he had a megaphone and he was just leaning against a building. And I looked at my husband. Well, he was my boyfriend then, but I looked at my husband and I said, I hate scary clowns. And this clown pulled out his bullhorn, started going, I hate scary clowns. I hate scary. He was screaming into it and he charged at me so fast. And I was terrified. He left me alone. He followed me around for 10 minutes. He would not leave me alone. Oh my God. Talk about, I mean, it's kind of funny now. My husband would not save me either. I'm like, help, like this.
Nice.
He just followed me around like super slow. Like I mean, he was really good. I gotta say, it was bad. So.
And you made that boyfriend your husband.
My clown fear. It was so interesting though, and I'm like, I always tell people, listen to the clown one. Listen to the clown one.
Thank you.
I mean,
well, that is an interesting one because of all. I didn't realize there was a bunch of science behind it. Like it's also it's the exaggerated features that. The reason they had to do it was to be able to be seen in the back of the big auditoriums, and that there's this whole uncanny valley thing that happens where we're looking at it going, that's weird. And speaking of which, did anybody see like 2 weeks ago the demonstration of the new ultra lifelike robots faces?
No,
not recently. No,
it is frightening. It is frightening. It's frightening and how real it looks. Like I would rather be creeped out and know that it's not real. This looked like a person in sort of like silver makeup because all of the eye, muscles, everything was moving. Like, I don't think that's good.
Why?
I think
Why is somebody working on
that? Like at the grocery store, we have that robot that will follow around. You guys ever seen those before?
What?
Oh, we have this like very robot. I'm gonna get a picture of it and I'll send it to you. This robot thing. It doesn't look like a person, but it roams around the grocery store. Yes, the cleaning robot, and he like alerts people, the staff, to like there's cleanup on aisle whatever. Oh my God!
How do we not have this in Los Angeles?
I know, right? Connecticut of all places, and our grocery store put big like googly eyeballs on it. So I swear to God. Every time I'm in that store, I'm not kidding you. I'm gonna go this weekend and I'm gonna get you a video because it is terrifying. It's like
I will post. I'm gonna get a video. I'm gonna get a video of the little delivery bot that's in our neighborhood because it looks like R2D2. And it has like a little kind of smiley face on it and it wheels around. I think it delivers pizza from one of the local places.
Yeah.
I am
You
not
are
okay
the
with that.
neighborhood. Scott, you get all the good things first, like the birdie scooters and
Oh my
yeah.
God.
In home invasion robberies. Yeah,
Home
we've got a lot going on. I know.
invasions, you know.
Got a
You're
lot
so
going on.
lucky. I know.
Yikes.
Oh my
Well,
gosh. Well, thanks,
thank
Shannon.
you
I
for
appreciate you
letting me pop
sharing.
on.
Yeah, of course. So Ashley had shared that so she runs a true crime podcast club. So she recommends episodes and she recommends your Britney Spears episode for
Oh,
the club.
wow.
And then
Thank
got
you.
feedback from people on that. So she picks different podcasts and different episodes. Um, my dad said that the missing deputy case was his favorite.
John
That
OJ.
tracks, yeah,
Yeah.
because he personally
That
knew
was
him.
actually my runner-up list. That was on my runner-up list too.
It's just again, like I feel like this was the year
What?
of cases that we don't like, episodes you don't normally do, and we don't really do
Right.
like missing persons, unsolved cases. So okay, so you mentioned that gang stalking, yes, was the number one episode this year. Number two, runner up was the Night Stalker and Satanic Panic episode. So that was probably all, you know, interest and timing, and it's a big heavy hitter. And the documentary was coming out. And then number three, which numbers wise, it's way more recent, and it has a ton of numbers so far. I bet you it's going to be the number one from this year, but it was the MLM episode. So again,
how I would love for that whole phenomenon, because certainly we were inspired by and referred to is it the Dream? Yeah, the Dream podcast, which was that their whole first season was about MLMs, and they do a wonderful in-depth historical background on it. And I got to tell you, I would love for more scrutiny in media about MLMs so that we can get rid of them. I mean, I just think
Wouldn't
that
that be
it is
nice?
a complete pox on people. It just takes advantage of people, and you know, clearly some of the examples, it just ruins people's lives, you know.
Yeah. Shannon was saying Satanic Panic never ceases to amaze her, and she used to believe in satanic cults operating in their diabolical lairs. Yeah, a lot of people did for a long time, and it was definitely something that drove people's fears.
And absolutely ruined people's lives. I mean, absolutely. Sure. There are still even after there were some teachers on the East Coast that ended up doing about 12 before they were exonerated. And it was all, you know, just the most crazy chart. Anyway.
Yeah. So it's 2022, the year we'll do the McMartin preschool trial case.
We should. You know what I want to do is I want to reach out to Kyle, I think it's Kyle Zerolo, who was the initial witness.
Oh,
and
got it.
He was the star witness, and then when he recanted, they booted him off the prosecution immediately. And there was an interview with him in New York Times in 2005 where he led through step by step what was done to him, and how badly anyway, yeah, you know what? We probably will do it this year.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, and Alex needs to let us interview him about his role in it too. So
I'm sure we can probably.
There he is, just on cue, Dad. He worked the child abuse unit, and he ended up being part of the task force that had to come in and clean up all that mess. So how about, those are episodes. What about just favorite things, events that we did this year? Whether it's Get Vocals, whether it's meetups. This was a year we kind of got back into some in real life stuff. What about you?
Gosh, this was official, but having Rebecca Sebastian come out with her daughter to visit schools.
Oh yes, I was like she came. Yeah,
that was a that was a little meetup out in Malibu, and that was just really special. That was right when out, and you could go to an outdoor restaurant
That's right.
and feel safe after really a year of nothing. So that was a very cool
That
sort
was
of
such a nice
podcast
night.
related event.
Well, we
What
made it
about
an
you?
excuse.
Yes.
um, so I have two things that stand out to me, and I feel like we just did a lot this year. Not that it's the end of the year and I'm feeling exhausted or anything. No, but I think our Night Stalker Get Vocal was one of my favorites, just because we really wanted to create a vibe for people who did not grow up in Southern California during that time of what it was like. And we had the most guests on than we've ever had. It's like people were coming out of the woodwork and
Oh,
so
that's
happy
right.
to contribute. Um, I had a couple family members come on. We had an LAPD cop from the task force during that time. We had writers and artists and people just telling their stories. And it was just such a cool live stream. So if you guys missed that one, you can check it out on the YouTube channel. But I just thought that was so much fun and so cool to like sit back and listen to everybody's stories. But also CrimeCon for me was wonderful in the sense that it was totally about the people. Like the event was the event, but to be able to meet Jason in person. Jason's not here tonight, by the way. He's taking the kids to go see Santa. How dare he?
In jail.
I know. Santa's still sitting in jail. I hope you guys are keeping up with Santa, maybe. I mean, will Santa get bailed out? I don't know. But getting to meet Jason in person and getting to sit around the table with a bunch of people and meet other people in person. And we missed the hell out of you, Scott. But it was nice to sit there and meet folks for the first time, to catch up with people again, to travel a little bit with my family was nice and see that. So that was a really, really cool event. And I think it was earmarked by the pandemic and it kind of being the first travel and get together, with it being as safe as possible. And from what I know,
Yeah.
people came away from it, healthy. So that's a good thing. But yeah, hopefully more of that in the future. We'll see. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I mean, hopefully people can make it to Vegas, which is an affordable city, which is,
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
lot to do, can be really fun. It's a great convention city. It'd be great to see everybody. So keep wearing our masks and get your boosters, and
Let's do
let's
it.
kick COVID's ass so we can have a normal summer again.
Yeah,
be
and
great.
Vegas has really there's so many options of things to do that is not drinking and that is not gambling. They
Yeah.
have really cool, like it's indoors, but it's a really massive sort of art venue, music, food place that I have not been to yet, but my brother said it's awesome. The museums, they have is it the Mobster Museum there?
Yeah.
They have the Neon Museum is amazing. You see all the old, it's like the boneyard is what they call it, with all the old neon lights. There's just some really cool history too. So
yeah, and we'll be there. We're planning on taking several days there, so maybe we can put together a hospitality suite for fans and stuff. That'd be cool.
That would be so fun. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very good. Anyone else want to contribute before we move on to either episodes they enjoyed or things that we did this year? What you want more of? We would love to know that. Yeah. I think we've said this before, but we had so much fun really doing the vintage series that we're either going to make that a permanent thing that we do every summer. So maybe we'll do like June, July, August, all the episodes will be vintage, or we are toying with the idea of more content for you guys And
Ooh,
so maybe
Chris just put
that,
up a good idea.
okay. So maybe vintage cases will be something that come out more on the regular.
Yeah.
You want to mention what Chris put out?
Yeah, Chris just put up psychological autopsies. That's, you know what, we're behind. We really need to get on that. That's a great idea, Chris. Thank you, and thank you for my Disney World Challenge coin.
Oh,
That is
pin.
awesome. The pin. Let's see if I can. Let
Do you
me
have it?
angle around. Can you see?
Your pin
Let's
board?
see my pin board.
Oh yeah.
You
Pin
can
boards,
see
plural.
pin boards and my paint and
1,
my paint
2,
by
3.
number. There's 4 of them. Yeah, Chris, you're up there. Thank you.
Yeah, that's so sweet. Well, let's talk true crime stories then of 2021.
Well, I'm
What a
glad that you
year.
came up with
Whew.
that. It was a big year. I have to say that the number one thing that on so many levels is, I think, important and reassuring is Michael Turney's arrest.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
To me, that
that
is
was
like,
big
because relationship with her,
with Sarah.
we've consulted with her, we've spoken with her, we have, hung out with her virtually,
Uh-huh.
and just the idea that she has fought so hard after all this time and finally action has been taken. That was a huge
Yeah.
relief for me. And on top of what I think, I don't have any numbers on it. I was looking for the numbers on this, but one of the things I'm really interested in is I'm seeing article after article about cold cases being solved.
Mm-hmm.
More DNA is being used. Sadly, some things that don't even really have to do with DNA, like
Right.
there was, a guy who disappeared in my home state of in the 70s. Is it 70s? Yeah, drove off from his job to go back to Auburn, where he was in college, and disappeared. And they
Oh,
just found his submerged. And then it turned into something else, thinking that it was just this simple, he had fallen asleep or driven in this gully, and it wasn't. It turns out that he was murdered and moved there. That's still
oh
all
my
being
gosh,
put
I didn't know
together.
there was that piece of
Yeah, there
it.
extension to it that came out after the next couple of days, that
Oh
they're
my
looking at old
gosh.
suspects, and it looks like there's evidence that the car, that he was killed at another place, and then the car was pushed over the edge into the river.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
But like the
Wow.
big thing, more cold cases being solved this year. Let's do that. Let's solve these cold cases. Let's keep the momentum going to make police departments process decades old rape kits. Let's get
Mm-hmm.
it going.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of stuff happening like court system wise. And I think we obviously had a slowdown during COVID and that picked up again. Emily put Josh Dugar's conviction. Yes.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one that I totally had forgotten about until that verdict came out. And I had on my list Robert Durst's finally being found guilty. How long did that go on
Yeah.
while we were waiting for that to happen? And probably thinking this guy is going to die of COVID or something before he gets found guilty. But I'm so happy that, there's some resolution, at least to that case. Does anyone know, or did they open up his wife's case again, or are they prosecuting for that? I thought Rebecca should know this. It's like I want to go back and watch The Jinx again now that that's over and done. Okay. Yeah, Rebecca says it's reopened and he has been charged with his wife's homicide now in New York, right? Yeah. Good. Yeah, exactly. So just we got the Elizabeth Holmes case going on.
Oh my gosh. How could I forget that? Can you guys believe her defense?
Recap it for us.
No, I'm not going to do justice to it. The defense is that she, oh, hey, Abby. The defense is that she's was all being puppeteered by Sonny, which is there's no evidence for that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody think that she got pregnant on purpose? because I think that.
Oh, sure. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, here's what's fascinating though, Abby, that like on top of that is that this,
which is so
you know,
twisted and
this
psychopathic,
new
by the way.
person that she's, yeah, this new person that she's involved with is like comes from a hugely wealthy family. She's attached herself to money. I don't know what she does. Does she have, like, is she like that character on the first season of Jessica Jones that like can influence people just by being in their periphery? Because I look at her and she looks crazy, and how can people fall for it?
A master's in like psychology or something? Like, I think
No, she never finished.
Well, whatever she went to school for, I think she got the tools that she needed to manipulate people, and instead of using it to help people, she like registered it differently and just was like, I'm gonna run with this.
That's a possibility.
It keeps working for her.
She's able to do something though to convince people, because the reports were from unnamed sources that when she started dating this new guy, family was, you've got to get out of there. That she look at this, and by that time his response back to his family was like, oh no, it's all going to blow over. You know, she's explained it all to me. It's, you know, she didn't have anything to do with that. It's like, oh my God, how can you not look at all the evidence?
60 Minutes Australia, because I'm obsessed. That was my new COVID find. I'm obsessed with 60 Minutes Australia. And they did one on her, and it was amazing. But like the one thing that blew me away, that like really makes, it's just like this whole Bitcoin fad that's going through right now. Like, you have to do your research on who's supporting what, because a lot of her supporters weren't even doctors. They were like top military people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So people like didn't even do their research, and it's just like,
and nobody was talking with each other. Nobody was cross-checking, you know, information, which but tell me, I want to get back up. Abby, tell me about 60 Minutes Australia. Why do you like that? Because I haven't watched it. If it's good, I'll go look it up.
Oh, they're amazing. They just bring up, like, they're doing one on one big guy. He's like a talent agent for like all these different magazines, and it's like it's like a whole like Jeffrey Epstein level exposing people, and they're doing a lot of like deep dives into cold cases, not just in Australia but all around the US, and it's brilliant. And it's like, you can tell they're doing a lot of things for COVID and trying to deal with it still. Like, a lot of it's webcam and stuff, but it's brilliant interviewing. It's amazing stories. I love when they come out with a new one, because sometimes they'll put up their old ones, but their new ones are really, really good, especially on Theranos, because they had one person that worked in the lab was exposing them and trying to say like, no, the machine broke, it was cross-contaminating, and they just try to hide it. Even when Joe Biden came and visited, they just like hid everything from everybody ever knowing. So all people would see when they walked in were these like hefty looking printers that were cross-contaminating and not working.
Wow.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to read the book, because it is just jaw-dropping what the two main whistleblowers, and I'm blanking on their names, but the male whistleblower, the young man that was from a very wealthy family that was funding Theranos, and his own grandfather was, you know, he was at his grandfather's house trying to explain to him what was going on, and the Theranos attorneys showed up at the house.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. This is like, you know, what's interesting is that the head attorney eventually realized how bad everything was going, and he noped out. He was like, I'm out of here. She's going down. I don't want to be associated with it. But the second in charge, the female attorney in that group, was entranced by Elizabeth Holmes. And you can see her in the documentaries, all the like, you know, what do you call it? Like morale raising and morale booster parties. Oh, it's Taco Tuesday. Let's have the taco truck. And here's this attorney with her eyes lit up with like almost a cultish manic glow. And she's just so happy to be part of it. It's like, wow, you nearly ruined somebody's life.
It's so culty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very culty.
Like, I've been doing a lot of stuff for looking into a lot of Scientology stuff, and it's wild. What people will do. I think growing up religious, like I saw the signs very early on, and like just groupthink and just eventually you got to look outside the box and be like, something's not adding up.
Yeah, critical thinking goes a lot of ways in a lot of different arenas. That's for sure. And Rebecca said that the jury's out in deliberations right now.
So for my when I was completing, I was halfway through my master's, and one of the social psych classes we were taking, the homework was you had to pick 3 groups that you would really have not had any interaction with before, and go and immerse yourself in that group and interview people and talk to them. And I went and hung out with some people from the Temple of Set, which was a satanic organization, which was a very interesting organization because it was unlike anything I was expecting. It was a bunch of really smart, mainly atheist people that were just, it was fascinating to me because it was unlike what I was expecting. And I went to, I spent an afternoon with the Pink Pistols, which was a gay gun group with a lot of gay law enforcement, which was absolutely a blast. And then the other one was like, I was going to try and hook up with the Scientologists. And my goal was to like be a little bit more surreptitious and kind of hang around one of the many places that they hang out, storefronts in Hollywood.
Right.
Hoping that they would entice me in for the free.
Apparently
they didn't want me. I felt like George in that episode of the site. I did not get recruited. I felt like George in that episode of the Seinfeld where the cult that owns the carpet cleaning company won't pick him. And he keeps doing things like saying, I just feel so lost. My life has no meaning. And they're like, yeah, you'll be fine.
I've just suffered a really big transition in my life.
I'm just feeling so alone.
Oh my God, they didn't want you.
Oh yeah, sunshine, Rebecca. Because Rebecca, you being the New Yorker, that was like that was based on a real thing, right? That there was a carpet cleaning company that was a cult.
Oh my gosh, that is.
She'll respond back in a second.
Yeah, a legit business, she said. Abby, Shannon said
Scientology.
Shannon said she found it so endearing that you had a spoon in your hand. I was gonna say I found it kind of threatening because you were like holding it at the camera.
I get really into this. I don't have anybody to talk to about all this stuff, and I'm like,
you have
it's so fascinating. Well, so 2 of them that I was like, well, I mean, I have a lot of them on my list, but
yeah.
Barry Morphew, the one with the wife in Colorado who went missing from like he claimed it was a lion, tiger lion or tiger cat, whatever they're called. And
wait, what?
They finally yeah. She went missing on
a liger?
Mother's Day of all things.
What was the name again, Abby? Barry Morphew?
Barry Morphew, Barry.
Oh, it's the first thing that comes up. MOR, and boom, it already.
Tiger King.
Tiger King. We don't need to get into that. That's so stressful. That stressed me out so bad.
Oh my God. Has anyone watched the second one? I watched one episode and I was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of back with friends again that kept me comforted during the pandemic. But then I realized I didn't really care.
Somebody had a great meme out with a shirtless, sweaty Adam Levine, just ripped to shreds with all his tattoos. And it was like, Adam Levine is the front of your Christmas tree, and then the back of your Christmas tree was like the toothless tattooed tweaker.
I'm so
from Tiger King. My Christmas tree looks great all the way around. I have so many damn ornaments.
That and the Maya Milietti case. That one's down in San Diego.
Oh yeah, you put that in the chat. These are good ones. We're gonna have to look into these because we've been so consumed with so many things this year. Of course, Rebecca also mentioned the Derek Chauvin conviction, and he just pled guilty to violating the civil rights, and so thank God he you know, pled guilty to something, didn't drag it
You know,
out.
I think,
But
and I think that's a big deal, and I also think it's really interesting because I wonder if we'll ever know what his attorneys sat down and told him to get him to accept that,
yeah,
because it must have been really serious. Like, you are screwed, and you better take this. It is the
sure.
best you're going to get.
Well,
So,
and civil rights against police officers are those are federal charges, which Scott, you and I know the weight that those sentences carry. So, yeah,
Let alone being a cop and in jail.
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, definitely racism was front and center in a lot of high profile cases this year.
yeah.
With the fallout and completely other stories and aftermath of George Floyd's death. But well, we can go a little longer today. I was going to say, here I am going to open a can of worms. But what do you guys think about the Gabby Petito media? You know, I think at this point we can kind of talk about just what we thought about it in general and how it was like wildfire. I mean, obviously we probably all come to a consensus as to why, but yeah, so many different tragedies. Exactly, Shannon. Exactly.
I want to make a broad statement without getting too general.
Sure.
I was really not happy with the way a lot of people jumped on immediately and made so many assumptions about what they thought was happening in that relationship
Yeah.
when there's very little evidence. What I know from watching this is that these are two people that were way too immature with their own mental health struggles to ever have been. This was toxic from the beginning, and then there was other layers of trying to manufacture this perfect social media Instagram worthy life, a very curated presentation of a lifestyle and a relationship, which I think is also toxic and endemic in our society right now. And I just wish it had been handled better by everybody. It just wasn't respectful to everybody involved, and it was awful and tragic. And you know, there's still so many things that if anybody has information on this, like, who funded the purchase of that van? Like, so suddenly
Gabby
they've got this.
Petito.
She did.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was in her name.
So
Actually,
where did she get that money? So was it her parents that
She
did
saved
it?
up.
She said she
She
saved
saved
up
up
the
that
money.
money.
Yeah.
So she saved it up, and that was the goal, was like, we were social media, Instagram life across country. Was that it?
Right. So here's the thing. I'm huge in YouTube. I love all of it. Like, I'm obsessed. So I think, like, when you get YouTubers, TikTokers, and the media involved, of course, okay, yes, let's put into the honest judgment that they do a lot more to people that aren't of color than of color, yada, yada. I think it blew up because of the various intertwined social network communities that were involved. Also, I think she was too good for him. I think that mommy and daddy let him get away with far too much, far too often, and
Well,
or just
clearly.
didn't ever answer questions, because there's no consequences for boys, right? At least it's kind of the life I grew up in. Boys did not nearly get that strong reins. So I just think that, like, hey, the world is missing, like, knows that your fiance is missing. And what do? They just say, oh, do whatever you need to do, just whatever, and just ignore the problem. And so I think that was a very good show of who he was as a person, and just probably not understanding how to deal with conflict.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, YouTubers, travelers, all those people, like, YouTubers were the ones that broke the case as far as to where her body was. And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we just had that happen with a case here in Los Angeles which maybe we'll save for later. But well, actually, Scott and I probably can't talk about it.
Oh, well, by the way,
I'd love for you guys to cover that though, like toxic relationships and how that fine line between when it turns and when it doesn't. Because
well, and there's also like and that's not to minimize his responsibility. I'm not by any means. I hope that I'm minimizing his responsibility, because clearly the guy, there's just a lot of factors there that maybe we will see more understanding of, from even just the indications of the support he got when his ass should have been sitting at home, and suddenly he's
or in a jail cell.
Well, yeah,
right,
but that's
exactly,
the intrigue.
that.
That's the other layer of the intrigue that we're left with, right? Is that we don't have resolve. We know there won't be a trial. We know there won't be justice served. So we're just left to think about it. I mean, God, nothing compared to like what her family's dealing with, but geez.
Well, and Emily had a great point too. I think that for 3 minutes it almost brought attention that she wouldn't have gotten attention if she weren't a pretty white woman. Then it went away again. I think that is so spot on. So there's other layers to this, which is, again, and we've talked about this in our House of Horrors episode, about the lack of attention women and men of color get. The lack of attention they get when they are victims of crimes like this is inexcusable. And then here's another level of what the fuckism on this one. The bodies they found while they were looking for her.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, exactly. It's like with the Daniel Robinson case, the archaeologist the geologist that's missing in Arizona.
Right.
And they've found tons of human remains. His family, who has put together searches, has found it because the law enforcement is not doing any searches out there, and they still haven't found Daniel. So yeah, I think, after all of this sort of ramped up, and then people did start wanting, really good ethical true crime content creators said, let's ride this wave, if you will, to highlight other cases. That
YouTubers
did happen.
did that a lot too.
Yeah, it's still happening. But I want to put a link in, like, between Gabby Petito and what I was going to mention at the end here, is that because we did have this cachet of gorgeous photos of this gorgeous girl, right? That definitely is something the media was able to run with. And let's not forget that this is going to be the 25-year anniversary of the JonBenet Ramsey murder. And we saw the same thing, right? We had these incredible photographs of this little girl and this video that was something that could just be played on a loop. Different sort of factor going on, but very similar as far as the visuals, which we know speak to audiences. So.
And Ghislaine. That woman was drawing a photo of the person that was drawing photos of her, and I still can't get over it.
Oh my God, stop it. Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah. Jeez.
I think it's on Investigation Discovery. There's a documentary about her background, her life, which is, I had no idea what her background was, that she had come from this incredibly wealthy family with a father that was a complete grifter, lost all his money. So she was basically penniless and had to attach herself to someone who was wealthy. It is a fascinating story. Does anybody know what the name of that one is? It's on Investigation Discovery. You can stream it, but like it's really interesting. If you're following the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, watch the documentary on her background. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Wow. It's just lots of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. Stuff in the courts. Again, hopefully we'll get some resolve on a lot of these. Speaking of the ID channel, I think it's going to be out early January. You might be able to stream it. But if you guys want some really super cheesy, super hokey, Crimes Gone Viral is the name of the show. But they interviewed me for an episode that was about a police pursuit that we had here in Southern California, where a guy driving a big rig pulled his big rig in front. Emily knows. Emily and I watched this pursuit live on Facebook. Pulled his big rig in front of the the suspect crashed into him, and that's how they caught him. So I did a little commentary on an episode. So if you guys come across it, let me know how it is. It should be hilarious watching. It was done via Zoom during the pandemic.
We last night we watched the watched the fake Hallmark movie, which
that's hilarious.
Big send up of all the other ones. It was pretty good. And now Kristen Bell has one coming out in the beginning of 2022, which is The Woman in the Window in the House Across the Street, which is going to be a send up of all of the true crime sort of movies that have been generated with like Amy Adams and Sigourney Weaver and always the woman on the train, the woman in the window, all that. It should be great. I love her. I think she's hilarious.
Emily says I'm adjacent to famous adjacent. Seriously, in the window from Facebook. Oh, too funny. Well, you guys, gosh, 2021 is coming to a close. We could not have done it without you. We love this community so damn much. I can't even tell you everything, like every little comment. Abby, interacting with you throughout this year has been awesome.
What a life.
Hang on. I gave Scott his half. It's sitting on his desk at work.
I love it. It's right by my challenge coin collection and my Dexter bobblehead. So
I thought that was so cool.
You guys rock.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful gift. We really appreciate it.
We really adore you guys so much. Thanks, Chris. And yeah, more to come next year. We're very excited. Gosh, this October was 4 years, so we're going on 5 years of this freaking podcast. So what have we done with our life?
A lot.
So our goal, Scott and I have a goal. I don't know if it'll happen this next year, but we're at least want to get started on a book. So we really, really want to do a book together. So I don't know. Well, here we are talking about new content, but we might have to take a little break if we're going to work on that. But nothing crazy. So, all right. You guys take care. Abby, a pleasure as always. Enjoy your ice cream and wine. Is that what's happening?
I'm having Cool Whip, olives, and wine. It's life of 20-something girls.
I completely remember those days. I remember that.
All right. Well, good night, everyone. And we will see you on the next Behind the Couch in 2022. Bye, Scott.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.